Afternoon, team. Michael here. Just thought I'd make a quick video about my Aboriginality, my heritage. So here we go. First of all, the language group of Australia. There's over 100 different language groups across our country. So yes, similar to Europe, there's lots of different languages, but obviously Australia is divided into a whole nother level of different languages. So my heritage is Bunaba. We just also discovered recently we're also Wiradjuri, which is the New South Wales. But up here in the Kimberley, top of WA, up this area, and this one here is Bunaba. Once you get a copy of this map, it's actually called Punaba, P, but it's actually with a B. There's a few little discrepancies in language and Aboriginal languages. Different ways to say things and whatnot. So Bunaba is my my main background up here. And if we have a look on a Google map, so just zooming out in our country once again, we're obviously down here in Sydney and then up here. So this is Fitzroy Crossing. This is the southern part of our area. And it extends up to around in this area. This is Winjana Gorge, Tunnel Creek. So if we have, and this is Derby over here, and then over here we've got Broome. So Winjana Gorge, it's pretty amazing kind of place to visit. It's on the Gibb River Road. That's a main attraction, touristy attraction in Australia. It runs between Kununurra and Derby. And this is one of the stops you do. Like, look at this. This is just amazing. These granite mountain ranges. You may remember a couple of years ago, I was up there for about 3 or 4 weeks, and this is where we spent most of our time in here. This area in here's got this is actually a fairly sustainable water hole. And obviously you can see it's not running. It'll run during the wet season, but there's about 100 crocodiles in here. They're all freshies. So we were, fishing along here. And then a bit around the corner here, we were a narrower stretch where there were no crocodiles. We were having a bit of a swim. But once again, they're little freshies and they're all right. Tunnel Creek. This is pretty amazing caves and whatnot underneath. So yeah, this is another one of our areas. What are we famous for? We're famous for a guy by the name of Jan Damara. Actually, I didn't just go back here and I'll Jan Damara. There he is, coming up second. So this guy here was a warrior. He led a Bunaba resistance. So our people, he was a Bunaba man, and so for about 3 years, he led raids and uprisings against the colonial, coming into the area and changing into pastoral lands, and chaining up the Aboriginals and whatnot. So these guys would bail up, locals and whatnot, and take their guns and stuff and shoot police and whatever else. And it went on for about 3 years. And obviously going back to these pictures in Winjana Gorge, they're hiding up in these mountains. They're Aboriginal people. We've been there for thousands of years. Police weren't going to catch them. You get a couple of Englishmen out of the a couple of Englishmen. They're not going to get up in the hills. In those kind of hills, and you look at this, like this is looking over the top. It's pretty difficult country. So we've also got she's been in the job for a while. A lady by the name of June Oscar, and she's the Aboriginal Social Welfare Commissioner for Australia. She's an Indigenous lady as well. So this is one of the main towns around the area. This is where my mum grew up, and a lot of my family live now over in Derby. Derby's, as you can see, little country town here. Not much to it. Famous for a boab tree. This used to be a jail back in the day, so they'd put some chains across here, and they'd put prisoners in there for whatever they were. This is pretty awesome. This is the horizontal falls. So the tides up around there are 9-10 metre tides. And so essentially the water's flowing in, and then the tide change, and it's a lot of water going into a small area, and that's pretty amazing. This is the jetty, so the Derby jetty, and as you can see, there's a lot of there's probably 7 or 8 metres in difference there in the water, and that's because the tides are 10 metre tides, so. The boats need to come in, and sheep need to get on them, or probably not sheep, cattle need to get on them. They need to be put on there at particular times, and then the boats bugger off. So yeah, just also now I was born and grew up in Tennant Creek. Geez, almost exactly the same picture there of Derby, only a little town in the middle of the Northern Territory. This is what we did. This is actually Tennant Creek Primary School where I used to go to school, and there was another school. Pretty cool kind of place. That's the main street. There's not many there's no traffic lights in Tennant Creek still, and whatnot. So I grew up until year 8. I'd been to about 10 different schools. Tennant Creek. 2 schools in Tennant Creek, Darwin, about 6 different schools. School in Townsville, and then schooling down in Wagga. So, but up around the Northern Territory, kids coming and going from school and people moving around. It was just the way it was. If you didn't spend a whole year in school, no one was surprised. I suppose. One of the things about my Aboriginality as well is that as does happen with a lot of people, it's suppressed, and so it was a thing from my mum not to necessarily tell people that you're Aboriginal, and so we didn't necessarily socialise in Aboriginal circles, but you went to school with them, you were mates with them, like I said, it's not necessarily not. And even I was just at Laing O'Rourke doing a speech for them about NAIDOC Week, and Martin O'Brien, the operations leader for Laing O'Rourke, he was telling me about one of the guys in the working out of the Homebush base there. He's Aboriginal, and we don't worry about it. That's just the way it was, and still is the way. Not everybody recognises their Aboriginality. So you can see here, this is Tennant Creek, Darwin. Grew up there and spent about a year actually out of a little town, probably about 100 kilometres west of Tennant Creek, a mining town out there. So and then this is what makes NAIDOC Week special for us. This is a typical kind of picture of Tennant Creek as well. This is the Devil's Pebbles or the Devil's Marbles kind of thing. You've got a lot of this around, this kind of geology of rocks around Tennant Creek. We get I get the opportunity to tell you about this. You get to understand Clayton. You get to understand Alira. I'll do Shalise next week, an interview. Just it's awareness for Aboriginality, and particularly considering that we've got a large majority of Kiwis and Englishmen and Scots and Irish guys and other guys from Europe. It's a great opportunity for us as an organisation to be able to teach you things about Aboriginality. And look, particularly being an Aboriginal business, and we need to be making sure that we're doing it authentically and legitimately. Thank you very much, and that's a bit about me.